Now with the NAR lawsuit from Realtors, along with the changes that are going to hit in 2 days, at least for us here in Houston, and Realtors in general that don't know what to do. They're new into this industry and they're lost. I want to talk a little bit about how we're going to handle the changes that are coming, along with how to move forward and what to expect from this new emerging market. Since everybody is scared, I want to give them a little bit of confidence in themselves whenever they're moving forward. A little bit into the mindset, along with how we're going to speak to our clients as well. I'm Giovanni Frank, your local Houston realtor with HBR, and we have our special guest here, and we're going to jump right into it right after. Julio, go ahead and let them know where they can find you and what you do.
How you doing? I'm Julio Bustamante. I'm a sales director for MTY Builders. And if you want to go see some of my properties, I'll be more than delighted to help you out with your find. And that's it.
Okay, cool. So we're going to jump right into it.
Yeah.
So we've had a meeting with our company internally when it came to the quarterly meeting, and we were talking about how we were planning for these new changes. Even though, of course, on the 16th they're dropping something, they're dropping the commission pay that's going to be shown to everybody. They have a way that you can word it in the contracts now that they're adding to our 1 to 4 contracts. And I don't necessarily want to talk about that because every state is different, right? And how they're going to apply that. But I really want to talk about how can you have the conversation as a realtor, one for a listing agent, second, somebody who is dedicated to being a buyer's agent, and that is their main clientele, especially for somebody who's working with first-time home buyers who might not necessarily have the money to pay a realtor. Does it even mean that the client has to come out of pocket to pay the realtor? But first, I want to jump into how can you have that conversation with the seller. I've had this conversation already twice in the last week. Vic, as our manager, I kind of would like for you to kind of dive deep into there. What are you training us here as realtors to have that conversation with the sellers?
So, I first and foremost, tough conversations are always hard to have, right? And they're only tough if you're not prepared and you don't know what you're supposed to do. I think with anything in our business, we talk about practicing scripts, role playing, having those conversations. It's an uncomfortable situation. It's a new situation for a lot of people. So you need to have practice for those issues when they come up. We mentioned before that for us, the process shouldn't change internally for what we do, and that is just setting the expectation. When you sit down and you talk to the buyers, just explaining to them what it actually means. We have a new home sales rep here, and we know that it doesn't mean that they're going to pay for it. The way that I'm explaining it to you guys here, it's giving us the authority to negotiate on your behalf and to be able to go earn that money, right? So I'm not asking you to pay it out of pocket. I'm not asking you to do anything. I'm just telling you this is what I charge for my services. Now I'm going to use this representation agreement to go get the most money I can for you to get you a great deal, and also that's going to take care of my time, right? So if I start at the beginning, I see a lot of things online. Before it used to say, if you can't trust your realtor to negotiate your pay, how are you going to trust him to negotiate a good deal for you, right? With listing agreements and taking discount deals and things like that. If you have the confidence to negotiate your value at that point, then you're already losing. So, from the business perspective, you want to know your value, you want to know what you're worth, you want to be able to explain that to the client. And just like anything, if we are a cost to them now in their eyes, as far as just like home inspections, just like title policies and things like that, this is what I'm worth. This is what I charge for my time, and I may not be a right fit for you. You may be able to find somebody that's going to do it, for half a point, for 1%, for 2%, whatever that is. But my fee is XYZ, and the reason why I say XYZ now is because I was never on board with the 3%, right? We were never on board with the clear 3%. There's been plenty of deals where I went above and beyond. I wasted more time, more money, more expenses than anticipated. And I would add that to the closing in general. I would ask for that feedback. When we first implemented technology here in our brokerage, I'd ask for my technology feedback. And this goes back from what I can remember, FedEx's fax machines, all these nickel and diming fees. We would keep track record of all those expenses, and those are fees that would be charged back to my buyer because that's what we paid to conduct business. Either I pay for it out of pocket or I send it to them to do that.
And I think I think it was last year or a year before that. My my commission requests always had like this fee, like what you charge the buyer, what you charge, what extra stuff you charge, and everybody was always like, well, what is that for? What is that for? I mean, if you want to charge your client money for your services, you can charge it there. And everybody always looked at me like I was crazy. You could do that? And I said, yes. And I came from a time where you sold your value. You sold, you were working for your client and you told them, hey, you know what? This is my fee. This is what I charge. So I think I said this at when all this started, right? I was saying that this was going to be almost like commercial deals. And the new forms that Trek came up with is essentially almost like commercial. It's like the commercial deals. Like it's essentially who's going to pay my commission? Is the real estate company going to pay my commission, or is the seller going to pay my commission? That's all it is. Um, now what they haven't been clear on, and what I'm waiting for is, can we ask for commissions? Because they've always told us we couldn't. But now that they've taken it off of the MLS, I mean, I'm assuming that we can, right? And I'm asking for commissions.
Well, that is the understanding
Yeah.
now that you can, even on our listing agreements, they've been adjusted to and this goes back to last week, and this is an internal conversation, right? That now we're gonna have publicly is I accidentally charged someone 9% listing.
Mhm.
And when I say accidentally, is it I didn't go with the intention of charging them 9%. I went with the intention of charging them a 6%, offering the buyer's agent 3%. And the way that seller understood my conversation was great. Your services are worth 6%. And then I have to pay buyer's agent 3%. I said, you don't have to do anything. They're like, okay, but I'm willing to offer the 3% to the buyer's agent. You can keep your 6. I said, okay, great. I did a great job of selling my value. I did a good job of representing what our brokerage is going to do for them. And they felt comfortable in signing that agreement, and they felt comfortable offering that commission given all the facts that I presented to them at that time. So it does go back. And just to dive a little deeper into the commercial aspect of things, when we look at commercial deals, these were all attorney documents. So these weren't standard, documents. We laugh on commercial how the barrier to entry is so hard to get
Mhm.
into commercial. And it's hard because there's a lot of expenses that you pay for out of pocket that a business owner understands.
Yeah.
So when you're dealing with these business owner clients in the commercial aspect, they have no problem paying for it because they understand it's a cost of doing business, right?
And even me, right? I was having this conversation with Julio earlier. I've had to have this conversation with two sellers already. One is going to sell in March, and one is looking to sell right now, hopefully before the end of the year, because he's looking to buy another house. And I'm having this conversation with him. We're walking a property, and he straight up asked me himself. He's like, "Hey, man, how does these changes? How's this going to affect you? Are we going to have to pay you out of pocket as our listing agent? How do we pay somebody else? Do we not pay them?" I was like, "Look, it's the simplest way that I can put it to you is because I've worked with this person before, so we've had these conversations about pay. It's not the first time that he uses me, and I was like, look, I'm going to charge you my 3%. Now, that's the fee that you're going to pay me as the listing agent. That's my fee. However, you've done this process a few times. Whenever it was a 6%, we paid the other agent the other three. Now, the agent on the buying side is going to have to negotiate for themselves to bring it to us, right? If they're going to include their 3%, their 2%, whatever they're charging their buyer. But there's going to be something in the contract moving forward that's going to be negotiated on the buyer's end. When before I had already took that off of the buyer's hands, agent, right? I had already took it off of his hands because I had already quote unquote negotiated that for him up front. That's whatever the MLS had it there pretty much for. Showed their 3%. Now it's not on there. So now the buyer's agent is going to have to negotiate their pay to me as the listing agent. And he's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. He's like, but it doesn't mean that I can't pay them the 3% if I want to get the house sold faster. I was like, no, you can pay them 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever you want, if that's going to be an incentive to get your home sold faster, right? It doesn't mean that we can't pay the buyer's agent anymore. So, that's the way that I explained it to him, and he was pretty understanding. Again, this conversation might be harder with somebody who hasn't worked with me before, who I haven't shown my value to, how you were saying it. But there's a simple way to explain it, and it's the same thing. It's funny, right? Because my uncle says it all the time. It's same but different, right? It's the same thing, but just a little bit different.
And so I think that's one of the biggest misunderstandings of this change is that everybody in the public thinks that they don't have to pay commission anymore.
Yeah.
And not just that. I mean, I've even seen the news outlets say, oh, commissions are going to go down, or you're going to pay 50% less commission. And that's not true. That's not true. And I tell anybody who's in the real estate business, if you're going to catch a listing, keep negotiating those commissions for for the buyer's agent, because you know more than anybody that nobody's going to bring you a deal without getting paid commission. And that's just I mean, nobody works for free.
I'll let
No,
the
no, no,
builder.
no.
I'll let you jump into it, but I'll just add to that point that builders have offered higher commission than
Yeah.
3%, right?
Oh,
With
yeah, for sure.
TSAs.
Definitely.
Tell us a little bit about that, and I guess your plans with what you guys are going to do for buyers agents.
Yeah, well, what I see in our side basically is gonna be we're gonna basically be like a little, uh, I won't say savior, but a little calmness to the water that's coming on as new construction, because basically I know not all of new construction companies pay good commissions, but most of them do. And I really don't think that's going to change. Actually, we're probably going to take advantage of all the misinformation that's going on, and we're going to probably try to attract all you guys to us. So, on my side, I think it's going to be something good, because we're going to be, getting more business from all the other realtors that are out there, that they know they don't have to negotiate their pay. Basically,
Mhm.
they're going to go there and they already know they're going to get paid. Basically, what's going on right now. But my changes, the changes that's going on, I don't think they're big changes. I just think it's all this misinformation that's going on, because it's here in Texas. At least it's not obligated for the listing agent to actually pay the 3%.
Yeah.
That's if he wants or not. You know, what I see is just that mostly it's more political. What's going on with all of this?
Yeah.
Definitely
And
more legal for sure.
yeah, just more legal stuff, and just a little more work for the actual for the realtor.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I want to dive deep into what he was talking about, that keyword, right? Business, right? And I brought that up in these are business transactions, right? So if you treat it as such, there's a cost of doing business. It needs to get paid. You need services. You need help. I see a lot of comments online. I see a lot of sellers online. I see a lot of different people online saying different things like, oh, I don't need a realtor. I can do my transaction myself. Oh, I don't need this. I can do this myself.
I mean,
Um,
you can,
Yeah.
but I mean,
I mean, I
you
could do my
you can get
taxes. I
into
could do
it,
my
yeah.
taxes myself.
and
Yeah.
as Nate knows here, I can do everything by myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
But is it the best use of my time? Is
No.
it my strengths? I mean, we have other jobs that I'm better at, that I can do better things at. In my opinion, no different than paying your landscaper, your chef, your maid. Things that there's a cost. Does that mean you can't cook? Does it mean you can't clean? No, it doesn't. You just you prefer to use your time in other ways. Do I want to stress out about a whole real estate transaction while I'm doing, or do I want the comfort that an expert is handling it, and I do it, and they do it on their own? And that's why I bring up the business aspect of it. It is a business transaction. Builders are businessmen and women, and they're doing a business transaction, so they're going to be savvy. They're going to want to beat out
Mhm.
the mom and pops, which are in this turn are going to be the consumers.
Mhm.
So they're going to lose in a business setting because they're not willing to put that operating expense, right?
Yeah.
So
and
Yeah.
and that's another thing, right? And I truly do believe, like what Julio said, that the new construction is going to be the safe haven for realtors, for buyers agents, right away. Like, okay, well, you know what? I know I'm gonna get paid here. However, we were just having this conversation earlier, and I was saying I truly do believe that it's gonna be maybe a year that's tough where you got to adjust. Who knows? They could change
Uh,
even more things, right? But not necessarily for everybody, right?
yeah.
For
I
people
don't-
who know how to do business, yes, it's already conversations are having even before the changes take in. Like myself, I just had this conversation, but I think this is going to make it better for everybody. I think the
Yes.
consumer is going to end up getting, in the long run, is going to end up getting a better buyer's agent who's not just showing houses, who's actually doing what the listing agent was doing as well, which is
Mhm.
negotiating the whole deal up front with their client and figuring out their net. Now they're going to have to do kind of the same thing with their buyer, right?
Mhm.
You're going to have to sit down, especially their FHA, and they need down payment assistance, and they're pretty much going to have to come to the table with the bare minimum, and they don't have that money to pay you. That's whenever your resources on the back end are going to come in. Okay, can I take them to Julio because I know what Julio's doing? He can already cover that cost for them, or this realtor over here, this listing that I've already been communicating with up front, even before I had a client. How do they do business? The clientele that they have, are they willing to pay a buyer's agent, right? Are they willing even to consider an offer with a buyer's agent's compensation on them? It's going to make everybody in this industry better because they're going to have to work, they're going to have to negotiate,
Oh, yes.
they're going to have to learn skills on the buying side that weren't needed the last
And-
4 or
and-
5 years.
And and that's a point that I was bringing up to everybody. I've been bringing up to all my realtors, right? And to just anybody that will hear me out, right? If you have a real estate agent, right, that has sold his value, has talked his client into paying him a commission, right? 3%, 4%, 5%. If you have a realtor that can do that and build rapport, and then you have another realtor that says, "Oh, I'll do whatever you want for $500," right? Which one of those two realtors do you think is in a better position to negotiate a great deal for you?
Oh, the guy that's actually doing
The guy that knows how to build rapport
yeah.
and already knows how to, how to build, how to sell himself. He can sell his client.
Well,
But let's be honest, there is a realtor for that client who only wants to pay 500.
Yeah.
There's gonna
I
be
mean,
those realtors,
so-
right?
so-
There's someone for
yeah,
everyone.
So
yeah,
there-
there's a
all
conversation
the
we're having
time.
earlier.
there
like,
is there is
gonna
someone
be
for
somebody
there
for
is someone
everybody,
for
yeah.
everyone, and I know that you come from an area where people,
well, I get my
where people feel like that, right? But the thing about it is this, right? We're in this predicament because of brokers that sold them so short. You have these brokers that are giving, flat fees, and I say this all the time. They give flat fees, they give everything. So if this guy that's collecting, I call them collectors, right? They collect all the agents and let the agents run wild all over the, town doing whatever they want to do, right? So those are the people that have made it bad for us and why we're in this predicament, right? And the thing is that those realtors are going to go away because they have no training. They have no training. Um, you are going to have some that are going to learn how to fix the system or how to work the system. Sorry, and I'm going to tell you, I used to have a sales guy, right? Years ago, and what this guy used to do was he would take people on a test drive, stop at the gas station, pick up the magazine, and show his clients the magazine where the car was on sale, right? Where that was the one that was supposed to bring him in, right? And then he would say, "Hey, look, stick to this number, stick to this number. This is what it's going to be. Make sure you show it to my manager," right? And that's what he kept on doing. So he was selling, he sold 10, 15 cars a month, for his little flat fee, or his, because we had a flat fee or commission, right? Whatever was bigger, right? And that's what he was banking off of. And
Everything.
he was ruining my numbers. He was ruining the dealer. He was ruining everything,
Everything basically.
and
Yeah.
and so end up, so you're gonna have those people, that don't believe in themselves, that don't know how to sell, that don't know how to work, that don't know how to do any of these things. And unfortunately, because we keep talking about, there's other lawsuits coming down the line, right?
yeah.
I mean, those are the people that are gonna get in trouble, not us. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm gonna disclose, double disclose. I'm gonna, I've never said that this is free, and that's another thing too. Who were the realtors that were always saying my services are free, everything is free? Come, I'm gonna help you out for free. And the thing is that there's no free.
But how do you work for free? I mean, that makes no sense.
I mean,
Like,
it's
who in this
impossible.
world is gonna work for free? Like it makes no sense, to be honest.
And that was one of the bigger problems, and one of the reasons why I always say on this podcast, like, I'm not a realtor's friend. Like, I don't necessarily deal with realtors. I don't like realtors simply because of that. I always felt like our bar to entry was so low that we got like some of the worst people to come into this business, and they didn't understand the business and weren't open to learning the business.
Yeah.
They got certain clientele, and they were going there, close them, churn and burn, what we call it, right? And now I'm actually getting excited about where this is going. For me, I kind of like this. People are going to have to work. You're going to have to know your area. Back to our STP frameworks. Now it comes, even if you don't want to be a listing agent, if you just want to be a buyer's agent, you need to know the market. What are people here usually paying when they're selling their house? Because you know what happens, right? One neighbor sells their house. Oh, well, I didn't pay no buyer's commission on mine. The next neighbor's not going to want to pay buyer's commission,
Yeah.
right? So you're going to have to know your area. You're going to have to know how to negotiate there, even as a buyer's agent. And I'm really excited for where this is going. I think it's going to make everybody better.
I am too. I'm super excited
Oh, yeah,
because I
definitely.
know we're gonna at least I know the realtors that really don't know how to work and they're just here just to get advantage of whatever client or friend that he has.
Mhm.
They're probably not going to be here. So to me, that's very good because now I don't have to deal with
Yeah.
realtors that don't even know what they're talking about.
The
to be
biggest thing
honest.
on this lawsuit is that a lot of people talk about, talking about the free services and things. There, some of my biggest wins don't include the commission. I think and we know. I mean, me and Native have laughed a couple times, and some of our most painful deals we made really good money, and I felt like I was underpaid.
Yeah.
I made really good money, sold a couple $1 million, transaction that Nate and I worked on together. And at the end of the day, we didn't even feel good. I don't even think it felt like a win. And
Anticlimactic.
yeah, and our commissions were, some people's yearly salaries, and it still didn't feel good because we did way more work. So I'm very big on that value and not doing anything for free, but also my biggest wins are the value that I'm bringing to my buyer, getting them a good deal, getting them a house that appraises way over the value, the price that they're paying. Getting seller concessions. My wins feel good when I do good by my buyer. It had nothing to do with my pay. Never.
No, that's totally right. I think once if you make a family or a person happy, that'll give you a lot, insight, a lot of
Yeah.
happiness, a lot of achievement. To be honest, more than actually money.
Yeah.
And that is one thing that I really take pride in is knowing that I do really really good for my clients. I mean, we've even had conversations where technically I was going to lose a deal when I first started, and what's the thing that we always argued on? I was like, Nate would tell me, "What, you don't want to make money?" He's like, "I don't care about the money, bro. I care about my client." Now,
Yeah.
of course, right? You can't do that on every deal. You can't give everything to your client, but that's kind of a mentality that I came into, and I never wanted to be a salesperson until I understood what it meant to be a salesperson. If you look at the definition of sales, it means um, to actually like provide for the person. You're not selling them, you're not closing them on something, right? You're providing a service for them. And I always had a hard time with that, but now that things are changing, people are going to need to, like how I talked on the last podcast, right? Pick up your crown, put it on your head, be the person that you say you're going to be. You're going to be a good realtor. You're there for your clients. You have to own that. And what does that mean? Doing the research, doing your training, speaking to your managers, being surrounded by the proper team.
Yeah.
And what does a proper team look like? What does a proper training look like? I mean, there's plenty of brokerages out there that say, what? Oh, yeah, we got 200 hours worth of training on our website. What does that mean, though?
Nothing.
What does that do? What does proper training look like for you? You as a manager trainer, what does that look like for us?
It's
You as well as a broker.
it's interesting because Vic interviewed somebody the other day. What did she tell you?
She said it felt like they just dumped a bucket of knowledge on me, and then just left me alone. They
Yeah.
just bucket of knowledge and of information that was very helpful, very interesting, very well put together. But I didn't know what to do with it when I left.
Yeah.
I don't know how to proceed. So we talk about help beyond the sell, and here in our management team, we talk about guidance, structure, meetings. We're involved in every deal. Why we structured our business the way we structured it is so we can help the best agents to the worst agents, and I say that, but the most experienced to the least
Yeah.
experienced. It's what we do. We're involved at every aspect, and we share their victories, and we scold them when they're doing wrong. And the idea is that we want them to win, and we want them to know how to do business the right way, and that will take time. It's not as churn and burn as people like. You might not get your money today, but that client you get will probably pay you out 10 times over that one client that just sells and leaves and sells and leaves. I think we did a study. We had Nate and I hadn't done this by ourselves. I don't know if we haven't done it together. I think when we started in this business, we should track ourselves and then how many people would use us against to relist them or to refer as clients. And at that time, I think 2016, 2017 was the last year that I remember doing it with you. That we talked about. I think it was like our numbers were like 90% of the people either sent us a referral or reused us to relist.
Yeah.
We didn't lose our clients, and we continue to not lose our clients even to this day. We don't market the way we used to. We're not there. We're in a different level now.
So since I'm not listing and I'm not doing any kind of residential business like that, they contact me and I give them to my realtors, and now it's kind of like I have to keep on reinforcing them that, hey, you're still going to get the same service because it's my realtor, and it's my company, but it's tough now. It's a different. I mean, like, I can literally right now sit it out, and not be a broker, or not have a team or not have a company, and just be a realtor and make really good money. Everybody's calling me and asking me what's going on, what's going to happen. I need your help. I need your expertise. No, no, no. We have the expertise. We have the help here. My realtors can help you out. So it's just something that we've built from doing business so long.
And the reason why I get asked a lot when we're in these interviews and we interview new agents and things like that, because we bring that up, that we're not producing the way we used to, and that was by design. It wasn't by anything else other than we made a significant, we made a decent amount of money, and we had some fun, and at some point, just in life, you start feeling like you want to do better, and then we started dealing with a lot of agents that didn't know. I mean, I'm not going to name brokerages, but just consistently deal after deal after deal of these agents struggling, not knowing what they're doing, had all the right tools, had all the fancy emails, had the fancy websites, had all the referral partners. They looked like they were well put together. Offer was really great, but they didn't know what they were doing. Beyond that scripted conversation, they didn't know anything else. And we started feeling like there was a need for a change in there. And that's why we decided to start hiring and training and going into that. And this has brought a different level of satisfaction, I would say, to my business, to our business, and to our life. We're helping realtors so we can help more families and go from there.
Yes, I think the problem is with the big brokers that they have so many people there that they cannot control everybody. They cannot not control, but they cannot teach everybody like the right way. You know, they are like we were saying. You know, you have a web page there, and you can learn if you want. If you don't, I don't care. And I really don't think the way of doing business is like that. I think when you're hiring people, you really need to train them. You really need to teach them the loops. Here, you need to say this, don't say that. You know, you need to be a diligent company. You're not. You're just releasing to the public menaces, basically. You know, they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, not here. You can get a hold of your broker any time of the day, any hour, but you might not like what you hear.
That's the thing here. We're not definitely we
You
won't
might not like
baby
what you
you.
hear
Yeah.
because I'm gonna tell you exactly how things are gonna go, how things are going, why you're in that rut, why you're not, what's going. I mean, a lot of people don't like to call me because they don't want to hear the truth. I'm gonna hold a mirror to your face.
To be
Yeah,
honest, that's
yeah,
the best way to do
yeah,
it. Be
definitely,
honest and say,
definitely.
hey, this is wrong,
Yeah.
this is wrong, this is wrong, and this is right. We need to fix this, to actually move forward.
But I always bring this up, because right now you were saying, I was remembering that there's realtors that they come and they interview, right, and they're like, oh man, I can't work for a company if the broker's not closing XYZ deals, right, and I'm
Brokers
like,
don't close deals, man.
that's what I'm saying.
I mean, come on, what are you talking about?
Well, no, that's not necessarily true. There are brokers that are closing
Oh,
deals,
yeah, but
and
that's not the whole deal.
that broker that's closing deals, that time that he's taking closing deals and trying to keep up with his lifestyle is taken away from the company, taken away from you.
Exactly.
And that's why only flat fee brokerages can do that, right? Because they don't care. They're just, hey, go make your money because I'm making mine. And the thing is that it's not fair because if I had a flat fee brokerage, right, and I had a thousand realtors, right, I mean, good luck getting a closing. I'll eat your lunch. Me and Vic by ourselves will probably eat everybody's lunch, and nobody would eat over here. We couldn't even have that kind of
I'd
company.
have an unlimited lead supply.
Oh man, man, they'd call me and I'd chop them up. I'd just I always tell people, hey, look, if your broker is out there getting leads and out there selling homes and out there doing stuff, that in your area of expertise, then that's your competition.
He's not doing his
Yeah.
job, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just taking care of himself, and that's it.
Anybody in my company, and I'll say it wholeheartedly. Anybody that works here with Lionsgate Realty, if you're doing wholesale deals, if you're doing commercial deals, if you're doing anything that has to do with property management and investments, I'm your competition. I can help you, right? But yeah, we're in the same food group here. We're going at the same
Yeah.
deals.
Fishing in the same pond.
Yeah, fishing the same pond. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing, like what Julio just said, is going to be super important. Is you're going to have to build a toolbox. The only thing that you have inside of your toolbox right, well, some realtors, the only thing they have in the toolbox right now, it's either just social media, or they have their letter writing, or they have their cold calling, or their door knocking. But this goes back to something that Vic has always pushed, something we always talk about, which is our plan to build a realtor from the ground up. Even if they're moving from another state down here, right? It's controlling your market, putting your foot in your market, the STP frameworks that we talk about all the time, right? The Vic preaches, that's his game plan for us, and that's going to be super important. But whenever it comes to actually dealing with your clients, like there's other things in your toolbox that you need. And even some of my biggest producers on my team, I just had a conversation the other day with her, and I was telling her, I was like, she's going through like a very tough time. There's some things that haven't come up in deals that are starting to come up now that I haven't seen since I got into the business, right? Deals are starting to get hard again. They're starting to fall apart on the back end again. And you got to put them back together. And it's something that she hadn't experienced. And I had to tell her the other day, I was like, hey, look, remove emotion completely.
Yes, definitely.
And she wants to be there for her clients. I get it. And that's one thing that I don't know if I'm just naturally like that, but I've been good at doing that. Being able to remove myself from the deal emotionally. And the few times that I was actually emotionally involved was the times that the deals were the worst.
I'm not going to throw you under the bus, but when you were emotionally involved, the first thing you gave away was your commission to save
Yeah.
the deal.
Exactly.
So,
No, no,
Yeah.
yeah. Again, because that's where I go to, right? I don't care about the money. Take it. Yeah.
And that's and you know and that's the thing, that's what you don't, you feel like you don't have anything to offer, so that's what you give up, you know. But
but
on,
now, how has that changed
yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you.
from when you
For me,
started to now?
well, now especially it's like the money aspect of it is not that I'm gonna give it up, but I know what I'm working for, so that's not what I'm gonna do. Like that's not my first option. Hey, you're not happy. Well, take some of this commission or whatever it may be. I'm gonna figure out your problem and we're gonna get this deal closed.
Yeah.
Exactly like what happened with my realtor. I talked to him. Supposedly they weren't gonna. The listing agent couldn't get the easement. We're gonna have to throw a driveway in there, whatever it was. And I was like, no, we're gonna hold them to it. Right? They're not gonna keep the earnest money because the loan is gonna get denied because this is something that the seller has to do to get this property sold. Guess what happened? They call us today. Oh yeah, we're gonna get the recorded easement from the neighbor who's supposed to put it there. You see, it's just the listing agent was being lazy, and I truly think that listing agent was not talking to their client because they were scared of their client.
Mm-hmm.
I think that listing agent was negotiating for their client without speaking to their client because this was something simple. It wasn't something difficult.
And that's something that you foresee or that you see now, because why?
Because I have training for it.
There it goes.
And it goes back to the emotion thing, right? That listing agent was scared to speak with their client. You
Yeah.
can't. You have to show up, going back to being confident in the tools that you have and the training that you have to speaking with your clients. You're there to help them. You're the expert there.
We talk
Present
about
yourself.
being involved in all our realtors deals, and that's why we're involved, because we know 9 times out of 10 those listing agents, and I wouldn't even say listing agents, I would say your opposition, because you're negotiating on your other side. Whoever you're negotiating against, 9 times out of 10 they don't have similar training that we have, or they don't have anyone else that they can confide in or talk to without chopping up their deal.
Mm-hmm.
So they're doing what they think is best, and what they think is best is taking the path of least resistance, right? Not talking to the seller, not digging deeper for information, or not figuring the deal out. Path of least resistance, it's let's throw money at it to see how it can get fixed. But then you start realizing that you didn't have to give up money, you didn't have to sell yourself short, you didn't have to upset your seller. You could have just been clear, been upfront of what you needed, and gotten it done that way. And that's what I tell my agents all the time, my brand new agents. Hey, realtor said XYZ. I don't know if I should do it. Well, talk to your buyer. What does your buyer want to do? Well, he
Yeah.
doesn't want to do it. Okay. Well, just tell him. Well, I'm gonna lose a deal. You're already jumping to the end, and we're not even there yet. Just tell him no, or just tell him yes. Just give the facts up front, and we work it out.
And it's funny because you were saying last time, you say, hey, you always say that deal sucks, or that brokerage sucks, or that training sucks, but you don't ever explain why, right?
Mhm.
And I sat down and I was telling Giovanni, and I was like, I said, I know I've already done my research. I've shopped it. I try to see what they're about, and I already know what they have, and that's why I know this. But I do the same thing with training, and I'll tell you, to anybody's face, I mean, I'm not gonna even name them, but there's a training out there, right? Everybody knows what I'm talking about. Because the first thing they teach is everything's excellent. Everything goes, hey, hi, excellent, perfect, great, whatever, just the hit words, just to get it, what I'm gonna say, it's Tom Ferry, okay? Tom Ferry, everybody talks about Tom Ferry like Tom Ferry is like the greatest gift to real estate, right? And he's not. He is a really good sales guy. He's good at objections. He's good at overcoming objections and talking to clients, and making them feel easy, and taking them away from the emotion. But he doesn't train you how to interact with another realtor. He doesn't train you how to interact with your client that's upset, that's mad. All his stuff is positive, topical, and just go, 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 go. They don't like you, they got mad, go to the next one. Go, 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 go,
That's
go.
not reality.
That's all that man teaches. And yes, I mean, you can probably put together 20, 30 people that you can work with in 1 month. How many are you gonna close?
Yeah.
How many of those are going to close? And yes, those numbers may work out for you, right? You may close 4 or 5 a month, right? But what does that do to your reputation? What does that do to you in the long run, right? And that's one thing that I've always told everybody. I keep telling them, hey, let's move slowly, slowly, but sure.
We help you create longevity here, and that's what we talk about. Not churn and burn, not just running through the clients, but creating longevity through great business and through great, referral partners and everything that we do. For our training and consistently talking about how we need to do different things in our process. What that means is how you handle your seller objections. You talked about Tom Ferry being a trained salesperson. He trains you on the sales process. We brag about being salespeople because that's what we were for a long time. That's what came natural to me. Overcoming objections, using rebuttals, using the hit words, talking about all those things. But beyond that, there's a certain level of care. Talking about if I have 30 people, we take the time to take care of those 30 people. To an injury on my
Yeah.
part, right? We talk about when I first started doing media, and this was 2015, 2016. I don't even know. Is I got one of the first GoPros, and they didn't even have mics. Everything was all plugged up, and we would do these videos, and they would do really great. We'd get a great amount of leads, and I would only post a video when I ran out of those clients. I never just continuously posted to just get a bunch of clients to just help whoever was ready to go. I used to hate that at the builder when they would only take my clients. They were A paper, as we called them,
Yeah.
or perfect credit score, W-2 jobs. They didn't take the time to work on the other deals. So I always worked a little slower, but my deals always come back. I mean, you talk about the 90% return rate. Everybody always came back. Everyone always called me back. So much so, talk about taking your emotion out of it. So much so that if I would see my buyer, see my seller doing something without me, I'd be pretty bothered. I'd be pretty hurt. I'd be like, man,
It makes a whole difference, man. Right? When you do your job correct with the clients, they're always going to come back. Like right now, I still receive calls from people that I took care of like 2 years ago when I
Yeah.
was in another company. They still call me, hey, I want to buy this. I'm want to buy it. My friend wants to buy a house right in the neighborhood that I am. So when you do your job correct, you always get good results.
And I think it's something that we're switching from, right? I think real estate for the longest, for at least the last 5 years, from what I've seen, real estate was like a hustle mentality, right? A hustler mentality.
Yeah.
And like I personally always say I hate the word hustler, and I don't like attaching it to myself, because whenever I think about a hustler, I think about somebody who's looking for their hit today. Where am I make my money today? I don't care how I'm gonna make my money. I'm gonna make my money, and
Yeah.
we're gonna pay our bills, and we're gonna get it done today. A hustler mentality. Real estate is shifting into a business person mentality.
Back to business.
Back to
Because
business,
that's
right?
what it was
Going,
before. It was like that before. Let's just get that straight.
building longevity, setting yourself up for it can compound, right? And it can continue to grow, and then you can set other people under you, and it can continue to build, right? It doesn't have to be a hustler's mentality. Burn and churn. It's not going to work. You can't build longevity. You can only build longevity like that, or not even longevity, but you can only survive in a place like that whenever the product is super cheap,
Mhm.
whenever money was super cheap.
Yeah.
But once the product gets expensive again, what's going to happen? Your clientele, how are you going to, and real estate, you can't chop up your skills. That just makes it worse.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like I'm talking too much about the movies that I watch.
Yeah. When I think of hustler, I think of hustle and flow. So
exactly.
Well,
I'm
what
not
I
trying
think,
to be Terrence Howard over here.
what I think is funny is that the realtor has become the new car salesman. Like
Yeah.
literally.
Sadly.
Like I have not heard anybody talk bad about car salespeople. It's
Anymore,
like,
yeah.
yeah, it's like everybody's talking bad about realtors, and I didn't realize how angry people are with realtors. But then, I sat back and thought about it, and I'm like, well, yeah, of course. I mean, why wouldn't people be mad? Everybody's losing money. Everybody, the inflation, they're scared, and these realtors are on Instagram showing, they're on vacation. Sure, they're budget vacations, right? But they're on vacation. They're hanging out.
All
They're
inclusive.
all inclusive. They're popping bottles. They're doing all these things. I guess if I was a hater, or if I was living,
If you
doing,
were?
if I was a hater and I was doing a 9 to 5 and I was in my office sitting back and I looked at my Instagram and I saw somebody, that didn't get good grades in school, didn't graduate, didn't do any of the stuff that I did, and then all of a sudden, boom, these guys are making more money than me. I'd probably be upset too. But everybody knows that all the haters are up north because that's where all the people. No, seriously, that's where all the hate was coming from, man. All the people from north, the United States.
Well, yeah, because down here in
Yeah.
Texas, I mean, we're still
Yeah, we didn't
we're still
care.
doing
Yeah,
good.
yeah, we
and
don't
and another
care.
thing is like most realtors, like you have to learn to read a room.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the most of the United States right now? Where most of people, quote unquote, whether it's because they have to jump down in their lifestyle, whether that's their fault or not, it doesn't matter. But you have to learn to read the room. Going back again to understanding your clients, right?
Yeah.
And the type of content you're putting out there, you have to learn to read the internet. What are most people complaining about right now? You can go out there and make content about being a successful realtor and how you provide a great service to your client without having a diamond chain on and popping bottles and not even saying what you did for your client. Hey, $2 million house for my clients here. Nobody even knows that really closed, right?
Yeah.
It's
Definitely.
just social media. And like I said last time, everything on social media right now is pretty much fake. And people automatically think that. And what are you doing? You're just spitting in people's faces. Oh, yeah, you can't afford this.
Yeah.
Yeah, popping
Yeah,
bottles.
definitely.
Here's a champagne. But if you show how you were able to get your client from a $200,000 house that they were out for 10 years, and now they were able to buy a $500,000 house, and then their third house is able to be that $1 million house, that gives people hope on where they can start and how they can get there. Versus, hey, we just closed on a $2 million house. I'm in shorts with a diamond chain on. Like, you don't even look professional.
I think Nate and I have had the luxury of working together for long enough that we've seen some of our clients go from their starter homes to their forever homes.
Yeah.
And I will say that I can comfortably say that some of those clients, we sat down and put those plans together when we first started doing business together. When I started, Nate helped me sit down with some of my clients that we've seen by XYZ. Nate will see a closing come in, or he's like, "Oh man, was this guy? Oh man, he bought a freaking huge house." Like,
Yeah.
yeah, bro, he sold like 4 of them, and he's on his 5th house. And I get a little excited. We get a little excited just seeing them kind of build their wealth and their time through real estate. And honestly, to be a part of it, we talk about the wins and what feels good on our side of the business. It's never the commission I get. It's always what we're able to impact in our community and with people around us and the people we do business. Longevity, good business, value, wealth, all the things that people talk about. I can comfortably say that we do for people.
And it's and the reason that they get to that level is because it's a dream that we sold them, and it's a dream that we believed in. It's a dream that we knew could happen for them, and we told them, we gave them the roadmap, and they follow it. And not everybody follows it, but the people that do, I mean, it's really, it makes you feel good. It does. It makes you feel like, wow, like this guy's getting it.
Yeah.
And they won't make a decision. They'll call us. They won't make a move without calling us. Say, hey, you think this is a good deal? You think this is this? Do you think this is that? Yeah, come on, let's do it.
I have clients that their relatives, sometimes even their own children, have gotten their license,
Yeah.
and they straight up say, "Hey, you don't want to work with Victor? I'm going to use Victor."
Yeah.
Hey, Victor's office was too far. You wanted to be closer to home. I'm still going to use Victor's office. And I'm sitting there, and their daughters are there with their listing signs in their garages, or their sons or whatever, and at their parents' houses, which is shocking to know that a lot of realtors still live at home.
Yeah.
And as we're going in there, we have these conversations, and that loyalty is to me and always will be. And it's understood within their family.
Mhm.
Hey, Victor's the guy.
Yeah.
And with that being said, guys, this is our out. Again, we are HBR, Houston Business and Real Estate, the best real estate podcast for you to find information regarding real estate here in the Houston area. We are local. We're in our downtown office today. If you want to walk by here whenever we're live on Wednesdays, feel free to. If you feel like joining the podcast, if you're anybody in real estate, feel free to reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to have you on and have a conversation with you. We're going to go ahead and exit out, let everybody know where they can find you, starting off with Julio.
How you doing, guys? Again, Julio Bustamante. I am the sales director for MTY, and most of my communities are going to be in Independent Heights and in Spring Branch. So if you ever want to go visit one of my communities, like I said, I will be more than happy to help you out.
Victorino Cortez. You can find me on Instagram at Realtorino TX, and I will also be taking over his listings at MTY.
Yeah, so you can find me at Better Call Nate at all my social media outlets. And if you ever want to pass by here on a Wednesday, just please don't honk and please don't get off the car and hit the windows.
Yeah.
I openly invite you to do that.
Please do.
I'm Giovanni Frank. You can find me on Instagram as Giovanni_Frank, and also the gracious host of the HBR podcast, Catch Us Live, and the host of Living East of Houston on YouTube if you're looking to move to the east side of Houston. Until next time.